So aloha, this is Neil with Orchid Alley Kauai. I'm going to do a demonstration on mounting Bulbophyllum, and I've been working on this piece of ironwood that is from the roots, and it's a wonderful mount for these Bulbophyllums. So I'm going to add some to it, and some people may come on live and may ask some questions, which is great. And we're going to see if we can make this even prettier. So at Orchid Alley we grow a lot of different things. Bulbophyllum's one of them, and we have a whole bunch to choose from here. And today we'll be mounting this. Now later on, hey Tiffany, how are you? Later on I'm going to do a walkthrough, a different video of the greenhouse where we do auctions and we sell plants and discuss everything. But I wanted to do this first so that I could make a YouTube video from it. Hey Jan, how are you? So if I do this first and keep it to 20 minutes instead of the normal hour and a half, I think it would be a much better YouTube presentation. So we'll do the demonstration, and then we're going to do a break and then a walkthrough. We'll do the other orchid auction and sales and walk through the greenhouse. But these are some of the Bulbophyllums around here. I'll show you real quickly some, and then I'll do the mounting. But we have tons of different kinds. Aloha, Jan. Big, small, in between. The season for these is starting now, so there is a fair amount of activity with these guys. So I'll show in future videos more of that stuff. But here's a little bit of the jungle here, and this is a kind of labium. That's one of the big ones. Oh, my wrong. This is Bulbophyllum Wilbur Chang from Wilbur Chang. So I got that from Wilbur, which is half a kind of labium. Hey Mai, how are you? So I'm gonna start doing the live demo, and people are welcome to ask questions while I do this. It's always fun to mount these things on here. So what we're working with here is a root that we actually dug up on our property here in Kauai, and it had such nice shape, and I thought about maybe horizontally mounting it, which would have been cool too, but I figured, well, why not do it kind of vertical like this? I can actually get a lot of plants on here. Aloha Mai! I can get a lot of plants on here, which is really cool because space is always a premium, especially in a greenhouse like this. So when you go vertical like that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11 plants on there already, and in that amount of bench space, that's a lot of bench space. So when you mount like this, you can actually get more orchids in your growing area. And it's very similar to the way they grow in nature. They don't grow on a flat bench. They grow all over the place. Every bit of a limb is covered with them. So especially the Bulbophyllums, they love to just meander on the limbs. So what I figured I would do, what I'd usually do is I'd look at what I want to mount, and this happens to be Bulbophyllum venuverenii by Beccarii. And I haven't even seen this bloom yet, but I just love the leaves. So it's so cool, and because it's obviously going to want to fall off and not need to be mounted particularly on a tree, I'm going to put it in this crotch in here. Hey Laura, how are you? So looking in the crotch, looks like the perfect place for this. So this is where you get to be aesthetic. You can pick places. The tree kind of talks to me. I love little nooks and crannies like that. You got a little knot here you can tie stuff on. So take advantage of the limb or the tree or the root or whatever you're mounting to. Hey Rhonda, how are you? They also can do wonderfully on cork, so don't think you have to do on a piece of wood. Cork is very good. And another one that I love is hapu, and in Hawaiian that means tree fern. So tree fern works great. So if you can get this, this is great. Aloha Jorge. Aloha Rhonda. So, and you can put them in net pots. They do very well in sphagnum. And the main consistent thing is, and these are in actually a bark and perlite mix. Hi Myrna, how are you? The main consistent thing is keep them wet. And so you're just seeing all over here all these different cork, sphagnum. Okay, they love sphagnum. But the consistent thing is keep them wet. So these are unlike cattleyas. They're unlike phalaenopsis. They're unlike other orchids in that you really want to water the heck out of these. Aloha Alexis, how are you? Hey Allison. So if you water your bulbos, they will perform for you. If you do not, you treat them like other orchids, they will dry out and die for you. So the choice is yours. You have to, when you have bulbos, you have to commit to a watering regime. You can't back off on it. They do not do well with, oh, I forgot, for 2 or 3 days. Cattleya, no problem. Phalaenopsis, probably preferred. But with these guys, you got to stay on the water. So that's the key thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this guy. Start with him. Well, we've got a few more here, and we'll do a couple. You always want to sterilize your shears. And we've gone through a bunch of different sterilization methods, I guess would be the way to do it. I don't know which, I kind of evolved into that Clorox because it's nice and easy, but a lot of people use isopropyl alcohol. A lot of people use torches to flame them. This is hydrogen peroxide, household stuff that's probably in high demand right now, given the crunch going on. And hey, Mary Beth, how are you doing? Hey, Craig, how are you? But I've kind of evolved into, I know they use this on hospital floors, bleach, so I know that's going to sterilize it. So any of those things probably work great, and I know everybody has a lot of different options. So Jan's growing outdoors. Temperature is a little flexible. They're not too demanding above and beyond normal orchids. They will do well, say, from 70 to 90 degrees. They probably would prefer exactly the same temperatures you prefer. So if you're indoors growing and you're keeping your house at 75, they love it. So, but they can go higher. I mean, they're all over the tropics, but usually at altitude. We saw them growing in the wild in Mount Kinabalu, which was 4,000 feet. I think that's Indonesia there. So, and they were just layered on limbs, competing with bromeliads, tillandsias, ferns, you name it. Every bit of wood that was on a tree was covered with moss, bulbophyllums, and tillandsias and bromeliads. So you wouldn't even see the limbs. So that's been my inspiration here. Why don't I pack it like it grows in nature? So, oh, hi Emma. Cool, cool. All right, I'm glad you're getting those guys. And thank you all for with our fire sale there. We had our hotel accounts have to cancel because of the COVID thing, and so we had a bunch of extra phalaenopsis. We still have a few, and I'm going to do another live on that in about a half hour. But I wanted to do this first because I'm going to make this into a YouTube video. So what I'm going to do before I cut is I'm going to show you where I cut and why I cut. I could actually mount this whole thing on there, which would be nice, but I don't have I think this may be my only plant of this. So I actually want to cut it here. Maybe it'll branch out and make some more babies there. But this 3 bulbs is enough. You don't want to go less than 3, but 3 is enough to get a good growth established. So I pre-put on my label. I'm going to cut right here between these. So I'm not going to, you don't want to leave less than 3 solid pseudobulbs, 1, 2, 3, with leaves on them. If this had one less pseudobulb, I wouldn't do this. Hey, Dada Discuss. I'm not sure how to say that, but aloha. So I'm going to cut right here. And we'll have to pull out a few roots in here. And you can see this guy's in a bark and perlite mix. Very wet, very happy roots. And I find you can grow them on just about anything as long as you keep them wet. So now, hi Jan. I'm gonna put this guy here, and this little area here is what drew me to this. And this is just kind of the art of doing this. And I just kind of fell in love with this little nook in here, and it's kind of tight where I don't even, to be honest, I could probably not even tie it down and it would stay right there. But I will tie it just because I know once I water, I start, ooh, shoot, this was not good. So, also, kind of be careful of flowers on the existing mounts when you're doing this. So that used to have a bunch of nice flowers there, but they'll come back. And the nice thing about Bulbophyllums is they flower many times. So you won't see them lasting maybe more than 2 weeks per flower bunch, but this will flower again and again and again. So they go off and on for 3-4 months sometimes. So they're really floriferous, but each bloom is not that long lived. So I can maybe show you when it's bloomed out, and you can see how many blooms are on it. But some of these will have, like, some of the specimens ones which we grow will have maybe 100 blooms on them. They'll bloom out, and then 2 or 3 weeks later they'll do it again. So they're kind of cool in that way. Always something going on. And the growth habit with these things is so interesting. They kind of meander, and there's different types. Some of them stay a little more contained. This one stays. This is the Echinolabium. This is the granddaddy of them all. And that's the big one with the long 14-inch leaves or petals on them. And the rest of these are seropetal types. And I was just checking my comments there. The rest of these are seropetalin types, so they're umbel shaped, and they kind of create a nice cascading effect. There's another one here. This is Lion King, and I was going to put this one on, so I'll put Lion King on next. And the other thing you might want to do is to keep sphagnum underneath where you're mounting it. You might be able to take it off later if you keep it wet enough, but once you want the roots to attach. So I'm not following our comments as much as I normally do because I want to make sure I get everything right on here, since this is going to be something we publish. It's not just another Facebook Live. So we're going to spray the shears again, because every time you go to a new plant, you want to sterilize your shears. And if you don't do that, and this is, everybody's learning about sterilization methods. Everybody's learning with this COVID stuff that how to keep things sterile and wipe clean. This is normal, standard operation for orchid growing over the last 30 or 40 years. Because you don't want a virus to spread, so we don't use unsterilized equipment. So a lot of the stuff that everybody's doing now is very standard for orchid growing. So I'm trying to find a good place where they divide out. And it's going to be hard to see this one. I'm going to go right where my finger is. And that's going to give me 4 pseudobulbs. So I still have the mother plant. It's still a nice specimen plant, and that'll rebloom. This has been blooming off and on for a couple months, and I've been meaning to put it on there for a while. So this is actually a good time to do it. So I'm going to take this. Now you can see this is where it bloomed before. Lion King. Isn't that cool? So we got to find a place. And what I use this tie wire. There, it looks a lot better if you use fishing line, but it's so hard to work with. So my goal is to use this, get it established, then take it off. But I know a lot of people will only use fishing line because it does look cleaner and better. But I'm lazier than them. So this is the way I do it because it's quick and easy. I can mount a bunch of stuff at once. So you got to figure out where would the Lion King want to be. Usually they want to be on a perch. But I'm thinking right here I want to put another one of the big granddaddy ones. So I may do that next week. But I'm going to put him on the back side of this. We'll get some sphagnum. Sorry, I had a call come in. Bradley, buddy, I do want to talk with you, but just not right now. Bradley helped me. We worked together at National Tropical Botanical Gardens, putting in a biodiversity trail. And he was a master at rockery, machinery. We did some ponds and these big orchid mounts, and we brought in big pieces of driftwood. It was a great project. It was so much fun. So I'm definitely anxious to hear from you. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this guy to sit over like this and tie him on at once. And this is where an extra hand would help. If you have helpers, if you have any little kids, that are bored to death, have them help you hold these while you mount them. Then they can feel like they're being important and part of the process. And you might get them even hooked on some of this stuff because this is a great hobby. And if they learn young, there are some careers that could come out of this. I think it's not tapped out. I think there's people, especially now that are stuck indoors, this is a hobby that's going to grow because this is something you can do indoors in relatively little space. You can share it with the family, the kids. So it's a good thing. So I don't know how easy you can see that, but there's Lion King right there. The only thing left to do now is to make a label. And I hope I wasn't too far out of there where you couldn't hear me, but unfortunately, that's kind of where it sits. And you always want to label your orchids so you know what you have. And that'll help you in identify. So if somebody calls me, Bradley is persistent. If somebody calls me, they always say, I have an orchid, it hasn't rebloomed or whatever, it's purple. And I say, you gotta, what's the label say? Oh, I don't have the label, and then it's like, okay, now it's just not really worth trying to figure out. Get a label, get a picture, know what it is. If you say I have a Phalaenopsis, it hasn't rebloomed, I can tell you. If you have a Dendrobium, it hasn't rebloomed, I can tell you. But if it's something like anything else, it's I gotta know the name on it. All right, so I'm gonna put the tag right here, and I'll probably do one more. And if there's any questions on mounting these, you'll see it's sphagnum. It's wet. We water twice a day. So, aloha, Cecile. We water these twice a day. And sometimes in the real hot days, if we're getting close to 90, we might water these 3 times a day. And if we're in the cold temperatures in winter, maybe we go down to once a day. But I give them Sundays off sometimes, but other than that, we water virtually every day with these Bulbophyllums. So I may do one more here, and I'll do other, if this does well and the YouTube folks like this, I'll do more of these, and I'll do different mountings of different bulbophyllums or different orchids. So my plan is to increase our exposure that way. So I think now there's a lot of people who are stuck at home and they're looking for stuff to do, and YouTube is a good way for them to do stuff. So this guy, I'm trying to put him on with flowers, even though you may not want to do that with other types of orchids, but with the bulbophyllums, they rebloom so often. I don't mind mounting them on there with flowers. They'll rebloom with the flowers. So we'll do one more guy, and I'm trying to decide which one. Let's see. Well, we have, maybe instead of that, I'll just show you a couple more. This is lepidum. And this is a bulbophyllum. This is a easy one to grow into specimens. And we sell all these at Orchid Alley. So we have a website, www.orchidalleykawaii.com, and you can go on there and pick the species novelty tab, and there's probably about 40 or 50 bulbophyllums available on there, plus all of our other orchids. And of course, with Mother's Day coming, we have orchid baskets. So we encourage everybody to go to the site, take a look at that. I think we're kind of short on time, and I didn't want to do a real long one for YouTube, so I'll probably take maybe one question, and if there's anything in particular I didn't cover. Lighting is low light, so you'll see in my greenhouse here up top we have the vandas, cattleyas, dendrobiums, the ones that want more light. Down below you'll see bulbophyllums, phalaenopsis, patfield petalums. So in the light end of the world, these are low light. A lot of water. They can take fertilizer. They do not get bugs that much, so they're fun to grow, and the patterns on these things are nearly endless. They are the biggest genera of orchids. I believe even more than dendrobium. So, being that they're pretty easy to grow and they're pretty fun, I highly recommend them. So please join us at orchidalleykawaii.com. I'm going to sign off and do another live in about 20 minutes, and that one will be on the greenhouse and the auction and plants for sale. So aloha everybody, and thank you for tuning in.